What's up, Womack Nostalgia? Dave here with a review of Lorde's fourth album, Virgin. Lorde is back once again at last with their first album in 4 years since 2021's Solar Power. And in fact, the 4-year wait between albums has been the case for all of Lorde's albums, funny enough. But here we are, and I think the Lorde comeback, as it were, really began last summer, of course, with her surprise blockbuster feature on the Girl So Confusing remix on Charli XCX's Brat. Lorde, out of nowhere, kind of found herself in the middle of the pop world once again when Charli seemingly referenced her on that track. And of course, that remix became kind of iconic, helped kind of jumpstart the, I think, cultural momentum of Brat and Brat Summer and all that. And at that point, I think people were really excited for Lorde to return even more than they would have been normally, because, of course, Lorde's Solar Power was a big disappointment, and we needed to hear something else since then. I think there was a lot riding on this fourth Lorde album, and I'm happy to say I like this album a ton. Lorde's not working with Jack Antonoff this time around. She's largely working with Jim E. Stack, the producer, who in fact also was on Girl So Confusing, and we have a little Dan Nigro on Virgin as well. And of course, for me, I'm someone who absolutely loved Melodrama. It's one of the signature pop albums of the 2010s. It cemented Lorde as one of the signature pop artists of the 2010s, and that's why Solar Power was so disappointing, because of what kind of almost minimalist departure it was, and how uninterested Lorde seemed to be in a lot of things she had, built up her fame with musically to that point. And I actually had said, you can check my review, I had actually said going into Solar Power that there's no way it could be bad. But man, that was a big letdown. Lorde's fourth album, Virgin, is a massive return to form. We are in fact so back with this album. Lorde has returned to the big synth-pop bangers that she made on Melodrama, and I couldn't be more excited about it. This album is pretty short overall, but it's packed with tons of songs worth revisiting. Lorde is giving you a lot of lyrical growth, becoming a New York City resident, expressing thoughts about her own gender identity really for the first time publicly. By far her most sexually explicit album to date, and again a clear thematic through line in terms of the end of a relationship in a way that's both familiar to the subject matter of Melodrama, but also clearly a product of Lorde's recent experience. I think this album is exactly what any Lorde fan would have wanted, and it's also a huge sigh of relief given how Solar Power had gone. The album has a lot of deep cuts, but the lead single, What Was That, is a traditional classic Lorde song in every sense. When I first heard that song, I really thought we were gonna, be back on track at the very least. It kind of has this epic chorus, the way those drums are dancing, this great outro as well. It just feels right at home with songs like A Green Light, like A Perfect Places, right? Like some of the biggest and loudest, Lorde songs you get. And, you think about like the through line of, there's always kind of like a drug thematically, like lyrically with the Lorde albums, right? You had Solar Power, which was marijuana, and Molly for Melodrama, and alcohol for pure heroin. And it seems that MDMA is in fact the drug of choice for Virgin. She references it, I think, with a very sticky lyric on What Was That. The album starts off with the song Hammer. I love the way you're like waiting for the beat to drop with these like subtle keys, and right on Front Street, right in the beginning, Lorde saying, "Some days I'm a woman, some days I'm a man," being very, very plain about it, putting it no guesswork needed. But then the beat does and in fact pop, and I think it's like almost like vaguely like supercut vibe to me. Pretty good for an intro. After What Was That, you have Shapeshifter, which is definitely a bit of a downshift. You have this like deeper affectation from Lorde singing. Still have this quick drum tempo though that I think works, and I really like that orchestral flair. Man of the Year, probably the most traditional ballad song of the whole track list here. You have like this subtle guitar strumming. I do enjoy the way the song progresses. I think the singing gets very impassioned as the drums get louder. And I love the way like those synthesizer layers are sprinkled into like the outro section. Favorite Daughter is a highlight for me. I love the way you hear those drums crushing right away. Another fun chorus for sure. Current Affairs, also excellent. The Lord's songwriting style and subject matter really in full display on a song like that. And I like the way it kind of builds up sonically one last time with these like distorted background vocals also present. Clear Blue, I love the doubled vocals with the vocoder effect, sounds really nice. GRWM is in fact standing for Grown Woman, Not Get Ready With Me. I think that beat goes crazy. I love Lorde's like shortness of breath as she sings on that song. Broken Glass, another excellent hook. I think the beat's great once again. If She Could See Me Now, you have this like guitar pop, like kind of out of nowhere a little bit. This is a big banger. I love the way Lorde's like gliding and flowing on this song at a bit of a different pace than she had been to the rest of the album. I think that song's really cool. Then you have the outro, David. Funny for me personally, obviously. My bad. Slower kind of outro song, but I think, writing wise does feel like a fitting epilogue for the album. So yeah, I think there's a lot of songs that are going to stick around on this album. I'm just so stoked that it's good, and I'm so stoked that it sounds like, melodrama. And, I think maybe you want to be cynical about this. Maybe Lorde heard the talk and saw the disinterest, relatively speaking, in solar power and decided to go back to what people wanted most. Maybe that's what this was, but I have a hard time thinking it's not authentic because, the songs, the subject matter is all refreshed and it's recent and it's talking about what's happened to her, post solar power. So it maybe it was a bit tactical from her. I think the absence of Jack Antonoff certainly noticeable at the very least, but I'm choosing to believe in the artistic intent behind it all, and I'm really happy with the album. And it's probably an album that we'll be talking about come end of year lists, I would have to imagine. Let me know though, what did you think of Lorde's fourth album, Virgin? Do you agree this is a return to form for the New Zealand pop star? Let me know. And for more music reviews, subscribe, and I'll see you next time.